Hashem, Na'aseh v'Natzliach. We missed you guys. It's almost 2 weeks we haven't done the ALIE SHUR. It was the Tisha B'Av, and we hope. So we're here on page Chaf Hey, Eitan, second to last paragraph. It says, "V'afilu talmid tzayir chayiv ladat shi'u lomed hayom hu maniach hayasud li'idiyat hashas." So we're trying to say, Eitan, actually, Shlomo Leib, hope you can be here. It's so important to review. You know why? Because Eitan, like I'm remodeling my house now, everything in life, it's not instant gratification. The way of Torah is not instant gratification. You understand? But it's like building a brick, right? So you put one brick, another brick, another brick, another brick, then you build a grand palace. So you have to know it's important to review whatever you learn in Gemara and Torah, because after a while, where you're able to connect all the dots, right? And it feels super gishmak. It feels super wonderful to be able to know that, after all these years, I've built up an encyclopedic knowledge about halacha and Gemara. You understand? So, especially, it was made me cry. Yesterday in the Daf Yomi, we were learning how much when you get older, it's hard to remember and learn, and you don't have the same energy. Like they say, the youth is wasted on the young, because they waste. When we're young, we waste so much time. But what we want to realize in the ALIE SHUR, Rav Volbe is saying that you have to have a big vision. It's almost my father's yahrzeit in 3 weeks. It's very important in life not to think like an ant, right? In Farsi, we say, "Achar bin bash, achor bin nabash." Just don't be like a cow that looks in the barn. Ezo chacham harayta nalad. So, from when you start learning Gemara, Eitan, properly, if you have the right mechanism and right technique, it makes a world of a difference out of the road. A lot of the people, the reason why they get burnt out from Gemara and learning is they're not learning the right way. And then they feel they never accomplish anything, so they go to waste their time. But whatever you have to know, whatever you're learning, if you learn it the right way, you're building a block for the rest of your life. Whatever you learn, it's actually this week's parsha and last week's parsha. V'shinantam levanecha. You know what the Gemara in Kedushin says? V'shinantam daf lamed over there. Sheyeh devurei Torah mechudadim beficha. Shinantam levanecha means shinun. It should be so clear, the words of the Torah. If somebody asks you, you should remember you're learning crystal clear. Al titgamgem. Don't say, what's the answer? I don't know. But tell him to him like a razor blade, like sharp. This is the answer, right? Because when the Torah is clear to you, that's what happens. So it says, so he says every mesechta that you learn, like you were saying, Dr. Najib was saying, it's like you're married. The same way you know your wife, you should know the Torah. Because the greatest embarrassment, you saw virtually, but the greatest embarrassment is that when Hashem says, we have to face the piper, and when we meet Hashem, He's going to say, what did you learn Torah? Did you learn Torah? If you say you didn't learn Torah, that's the biggest embarrassment. You're not even in the ballpark. That's something like kafakela Rahman al-Sam. But even if you did learn, God Hashem is going to say, what did you learn, right? And that's the ultimate test. That was the previous class we had. And he says that's so beautiful when you whatever you learn is like crystal clear in your hand. What happens is that you're able, like Tosfot, to say, oh, this is a contradiction to another halacha or gemara, right? And then you're able to be mefalfel and bring out crystal clear and proofs to your own chidushim and stuff like that. Last paragraph. I'm sorry, second to last paragraph. Atikta kasha mechata kasha. So it's much more difficult. Shlomo Leib, this is for you. It's much more difficult to do what? To review your learning, because we always want to go forward. You understand what I mean? Mm-hmm. When we learn, it's so hard to review your learning, because what new stuff is more interesting. what learn seems like chas v'shalom lahavdil alfei avdalos. The Yetzer Hara says, "Oh, this is crusty bread. This is, this is bread that's not fresh." But the opposite is true. He says, he says this is one of the most difficult tests in learning Torah, but you can only become a great Torah leader and scholar if you review. You know why? That's a joke I said last time about the daf yomi. Do you go through the daf, or the daf goes through you? It goes one ear, go out the other. That's a very big problem with the daf yomi. And I'm a very big advocate of daf yomi. I've been for many years now, because right now in the summer, a lot of people, there's a big Yetzer Hara. If you're not in kollel or yeshiva, right, you could just go and just clown around. But reviewing is so important. Like Rav Hutner Zatzal said, you don't become a great Torah learner from studying. You become a great Torah learner from reviewing. Last paragraph. He says, who doesn't honestly enjoy the Torah? Unless they're not keeping kosher or their neshama is blocked. The Torah is the sweetest thing. Like they say, Torah is the best of sachara. Torah is the best business. Is the best investment. When the Rosh Yeshiva says great chidushim, Torah ideas, and it's interesting, and everything fits in. Because a lot of times, Eitan, Gemara is like a puzzle, and Tosfot. But when you ask 10 different contradictions, and then somebody in a class is able to explain each one how it fits in like a puzzle, that's the greatest joy. And there's great pilpulistic sfarim, like Rabbi ALIE has been learning this. He's becoming a dayan. The Ksot HaChoshen and the Rab Chaim. V'chol zeh hayesod b'limud hu yediah. He says a lot of people want to go learn like the fanciest books around, Like they want to learn Chidushay Rab Chaim and the Ksos and the Nesivos. But he says, in the end of the day, our number one thing is to learn Gemara, Rashi, Tosafot, Shulchan Aruch, Rif, Rambam, Rosh, basic stuff. It's better to know a little very well than to learn a lot but not remember anything. That's what the Grozal says. So it says that you can only build a great structure. Basically, Eitan, what he's saying is, if we don't review our learning, and we're not reviewing our learning, the Gemara, Rashi, Tosfot, like the main foundations of our learning, and then you want to go learn all this fancy dessert stuff, then the building is on a very, shaky foundation, and then it falls. Then that's why, like Daf Yomi, a lot of times, I must confess my sins. You've learned this Gemara. Baruch Hashem, some of them is settled to the Daf Yomi, or stuff you've learned, you've gone through it 2-3 times, maybe 4 times, but you just, sometimes it baffles me. I try to review, especially the Agaritas, but it's a scary thing. He says it's wrong to go in the Achronim, the books that were written like 100 years ago. The heart and brains of our Torah learning is Gemara, Rashi, Tosafot. That's it. Now, if you want to be more halachic, then you could go and study what? The Rosh and the Rambam and the Bet Yosef, which Rav Ovadia says we have to always fine-tune. Our way of learning, Eitan, by the way, is that we always are interested in the halacha, right? The Sephardic way is we just don't do. In the yeshivas, unfortunately, they do a lot of pilpul, which is good, but they don't get to the halacha. The whole goal of Gemara, because that way, or Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, you're not reasoning. But when you learn the Gemara and then you learn the Bet Yosef and the Tur, then you get the whole pie. You get both sides of the coin, and that's the most awesome thing. Just give me. Let's finish this chapter out. I'll finish quickly. Okay. It says, "Ma meod aleinu leizan v'fukush netzur b'Torah. Raiti seirim shalamdu b'fion rav ela shelo yiglushu b'kach. Shimu mida yom biyomo eize chidush metzaltzel eize barak eize sugya." He says a lot of people learn superficially. They just hear new chidush and they think they're good to go. Zayir sham, zayir sham. Ve'ino noten lam regesh meduma shel meduna Torah. He says some people just learn a lot of different nice ideas, but they're empty inside. You know why? Because they didn't review their main learning. And therefore they didn't become great in learning. He says, it says, Some people, Eitan, they dip their toes a little bit in the water here, a little sweetness of Torah there, but since they didn't review and understand everything completely, you understand? Always in life, Eitan, this is the biggest problem. A lot of we human, you know what the Satan does in our life? Always wants to take the dessert and make it our main course. So it's very good if you learn Gemara and then you're in yeshiva and you hear a lot of nice pilpulistic stuff. But you always have to, I'm telling you, this is the most important thing in life. Anything you want to do in life, you always have to be wise and see what's the main thing, what's the main course, and the side dish. So he says people that learn the opposite way, right? They're thinking that the side dish and dessert is the main course. They're never going to become great in learning, you know, because they're building on very, very dangerous things. Okay, everybody, thank you for joining us. Have a wonderful Shabbat. We're going to do Mishnah soon, and have a great day. Thank you. No problem. No problem.